We're looking at the waterfront in the city of Nanaimo, which is on Vancouver Island, just about 2 hours north of Victoria. And this is actually the second largest city on Vancouver Island. And I've got the better part of an hour to kind of take a tour of the waterfront and bring you along as I do. What brought me to Nanaimo was the fact that I have a client here, and I spent the day yesterday visiting with my client, and today I'm just relaxing before catching a ferry back over to the mainland, if you want to call it that, which would be Vancouver. So it is a beautiful day here. Today is it's just toward the end of July, and not a cloud in the sky, and just a nice breeze. Temperatures are probably in the lower to mid 70s right now. So let's go take a walk along the waterfront. They have a nice promenade that we can walk along. Alright, having found my way down to the promenade itself, I thought I would just bring you along for a nice walk. And as I begin my walk, you can see there's a seaplane that's taking off, probably taking somebody for a tourist ride, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. So as I begin my tour, there's a street performer of the type I've never seen. It's actually as if I think she's singing opera, perhaps. And okay, that's kind of a nice change from the normal street performers that you might see as you walk along a tourist spot such as this. Really is a beautiful harbor. And I would imagine that come 3 or 4 months from now that the scene here will be a lot different. You'll have probably gray skies and rain, quite a bit of rain. I actually have about an hour and a half before I take the ferry back over to Vancouver. And more or less, I guess what you could say I'm doing right now is actually killing some time. And in the process, just doing a nice video. I find it interesting that as I upload these videos, and I oftentimes get comments from individuals, these videos can be really helpful for a lot of people that are actually thinking of visiting or perhaps even moving to a place such as Nanaimo. I'm not sure of the actual pronunciation. Whereas in the United States, we would call people Native Americans. Here they call them first, I believe the name that they give the original inhabitants of this area, First Nationers, or First Nation people, or First Nationers. Actually, not a whole heck of a lot of activity going on down here.
Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, look at the blue. I've never even come close to that. Yeah. I gotta go check it out.
Here you can take Harbor Air Seaplanes Departure Lounge for checked-in passengers. actually earlier in my trip. I've been on the road now for the better part of 2.5 weeks, and earlier on my trip I lost my Sony camcorder, if you will, as I left it on the roof of my car as I was pulling out of a really nice walk up to see a glacier, and I was debating whether I should buy another camera or not, and I actually opted or realized that the Canon or the Nikon rather SLR that I have in my hand recording this video would actually record videos. So it's actually turned out to serve my purpose quite well. As you look at the Royal Roads University Harbor Air seaplane right there. It's one of the things I've never done. I've never been on a seaplane before. Okay, so I'll continue walking along, and as I do, if there's anything of interest, I will be sure to share it with you. And just a bit further up, I came across the walking fishing pier here on the waterfront in Nanaimo, and I thought, why not bring you for a walk along out onto the fishing pier, seeing if the fish are biting, perhaps. I've been so fortunate with my weather as I've been traveling over the last several days. It very well could have been raining, which would have been quite a damper on the whole experience of going to Vancouver, As I walk along, you can see a seaplane coming in. Not too far from Canada right now, which is a spot that I've always thought would be a great place to go visit. Definitely on my bucket list. Here's a view of the other side of the fishing pier. I'm sorry, fishing walking pier. Tomorrow I'll actually be visiting a spot that I've heard a lot of, and that is Whistler. So I'll be going up to Whistler and doing one of the most famous, if not, well, one of the most famous gondolas in all the world. Be curious to know what type of fish they catch here.
I think I caught something, Granny.
Really?
I'm not even joking.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the waves making it seem like that, but I think I caught something. Better not be another rope.
What type of fish do you catch here?
Yesterday I caught a bullhead.
A bullhead?
Yeah.
But apparently you could catch cod or halibut.
Uh-huh.
Could. That's what we're told.
Okay. Is he fishing for your dinner?
No.
No? All right.
Just a novice. Yesterday is the first day.
Gentleman here is throwing out a trap or a cage, if you will. Perhaps looking for some crab. Alright. It would appear that they just take the pot and throw it on out there and just let it sit for a while and bring it in and see if they got lucky. Alright, so let's find our way off the walking fishing pier and see what else I can find as this gentleman brings in his pot. Alright, it would appear that this gentleman was successful. What do you have there, a crab?
It's half a crab.
Half a crab.
He needs to go back.
He's going back?
Yeah, of course.
Just not big enough, huh?
He's far too small and he only has one little claw.
What type of crabs are these?
This is Dungeness crab.
Uh-huh. Fantastic. Good eating? When they're big enough?
Maybe when they're big enough.
Maybe when they're big enough. All right. So there he goes to pinch another day. All right, just up the pier, this gentleman is getting a much bigger cage ready to throw out there. And you can see inside the cage, it looks like he's got, is that chicken or turkey? Or
Turkey eggs.
Turkey. So he's got turkey in there. And look at that.
Oh.
I would imagine you'd get some pretty big crabs
That's the hope.
inside this cage. So you're just gonna pitch it out there, huh? Look at that.
Can you tell the dog to stay away from the water? I don't want to get something I don't know.
Just tell him to sit. Sit. Good boy. So nobody's gonna steal this thing.
See if we can watch him throwing this big cage out there. Turkey and all.
And the boat's pretzel, by the way.
See if he's gonna come out here.
Now people have called me quite the turkey before, so I don't know if I'd make good bait inside a cage like that. Perhaps.
Oh, it did?
Okay, so here we go. Time to pitch that cage. And there you have it. So, may he catch many crabs. Alright, and what tour of this beautiful city would be complete without showing you the latest craze sweeping the park? And that would be Pokemon. Pokemon is, I guess it's a craze sweeping the world, and everywhere you go, you see people playing this game called Pokemon. And I just learned that Pokemon, the word "mon" stands for a monster. So everybody here is playing Pokemon. And interestingly enough, I was just trying to think what was the big craze when I was younger. You know, I think everybody was playing G.I. Joe, and all the guys were playing G.I. Joe, and all the girls were playing with Barbies. And here you've got this big trend sweeping the world, Pokemon. So download it on your Play Store today. And hope you enjoyed the tour of Nanaimo.